All right. Good morning. Thank you for joining me, you guys. Or maybe I should just say good day. That's an easier way to do that. I realize it's not even morning for me right now. We're going through Leviticus 19. I always like to title my chapters. It helps me memorize what each chapter is about. And the memorization cube that I have for this particular chapter just says miscellaneous instructions. I use this chapter for one thing in particular, and that's going to be the title of this class for my YouTube and for my Rumble channel. Who is thy neighbor? Who is thy neighbor? You know, we have the idea that that person that lives next door to us is the neighbor. It's an erroneous understanding. And it's erroneous. Why? Because we don't know who thy is. Love thy neighbor as thyself. We don't know who thy is. We think we are thy. In English, you. But we're not. Jehovah's talking to Israel's seed. And here he is once again. This is how he almost always starts his chapters. And Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Israel's seeds assembly. They call it the congregation of the children of Israel. Man, oh man, you know, we don't even know who we're talking about. Because we don't know who Israel's seed is, and then we throw this congregation, the congregation of the children of Israel. It just throws us off. We have no clue who he's talking about. But if we learn to read the Hebrew, or at least to gain deeper understanding of who the supposed children of Israel is, it's covered up by this word right here. B'nai Israel. There it is. No, I'm sorry. That's not B'nai Israel. That is Ani Yahovah. Here's B'nai Israel. B'nai Israel. That's it right there. B'nai Israel. Because we don't know who that is, we go astray. We're lost. You know, we're coming up to a time right now that we're going to see that the Zionists, who call themselves Israel, are in fact the enemy of everybody in the world. They're trying to break us down. And until we get a better understanding of who Israel is, the Israel that we're talking about here, B'nai Israel, that comes from Jacob, is Israel's seed. Ezra men. What am I teaching on Exodus 12? And you'll learn about the Ezra men and how you can become an Ezra men, how you can become the thee. This is what we got to do. But this is a little more complicated today because we're talking about the assembly of Israel's seed. It really doesn't change it. If it was said Israel's seed or it said all of the assembly of Israel's seed, it's the same group of people. They are the Ezra men. So let me finish reading this particular verse. It says, speak to Israel's seeds congregation. Israel's seeds assembly, I think, is really a better word to use with this. And say to them, holy you shall become, because Jehovah, your Elohim, is holy. You know, I think it's interesting that it says, holy you shall become. You know, there's a lot of people out there, Christians primarily, believe in Jesus and you will be holy. No, you will not be holy. Holiness is something that you've got to learn and do. It's righteousness that we have to learn and do. And when we learn and do righteousness, we start becoming holy. I like that they use the word becoming, or maybe that was my word. You shall be holy. Yeah. See, they say be. No, this is become. This is a process of becoming holy. Holy. Let's talk about this, because this is going to be a conversation that we got to talk about today. We're going to see it at least 3 different times as we go through this. And really, this whole chapter is about becoming holy. I put here, this happens to be, I think, this must be Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible that actually wrote this. The Hebrew word translated, I'm reading on the right here, as holy is kadosh, or kadash, kadosh, kadash. Kaf, dalet, shin. The ancient Hebrew ideograph gives us great understanding as to the beginning of this word. The letter kaf is a picture of the back of a head and conveys the idea of being behind. The dalet is a picture of a door, a hanging door, and conveys the idea of opening and closing or swinging back and forth. That's what it looks like to me, is it's swinging back and forth, the particular way they drew this. The letter shin is the picture of teeth and conveys the idea of eating, biting, crushing. The two letters of the last 2 letters of this word form the Hebrew word dash, kodash, which is the word for threshing. In these 2 ideographs, dalet, shin, we see a heavy sled that was being pulled back and forth over the grain, crushing it in order to separate the chaff from the seed. When we add the letter kaf to this picture, it conveys the idea of pure seed. This is what we're talking about. Be holy, become pure seed, which is left behind after the threshing and the winnowing is complete. So the word kadosh, kadash, I don't know if it's kadash or kadosh, can be understood as referring to the state of being after the chaff has been removed. Do you see that? We got to get rid of the bad ways, the stinking thinking, and the bad acts to become holy as Jehovah is holy. So the word kadash can be understood as referring to a state of being after the chaff has been removed. And in other words, the word holy implies a state of being without mixture, a state of being without mixture. Israel is called to be without mixture, just as Jehovah is to be without mixture. Now, keeping on that same thing, look what it says here. This is Leviticus 20. You shall be holy to me. This is next week's verse. For I, Jehovah, am holy and have separated you from the peoples, that you should be mine. It would be separated you probably from the nations, that you will be mine. Here he says, speak to Israel's seed and say to them, I am Jehovah, your Elohim, according to the doings of the land of Egypt, where you dwelt. Think of it where you are right now. Think of it in the land of United States, where you dwelt. You shall not do. And according to the doings of the land of Canaan, where I'm bringing you, you shall not do. You know, those are 4 very important words. You shall not do, nor shall you walk in their ordinances. You shall observe my judgments and keep my ordinance to walk in them. I am Jehovah, your Elohim. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man, not a woman, These statutes were given to Israel's seed, Ezra, men. We're going to see. He's going to point it out to us later. Which, if a man does, he shall live by them. That's the verse in Ecclesiastes that you were talking about just a few minutes ago, V. All right. And actually, it says in Ecclesiastes, with which, if the man does, he shall live by them. Oh, my goodness. All right. The other thing I wanted to mention in here is this. Ane Yahovah. Here's the word. I don't have it. Elihekum. Ani Yahovah Elihekum. That is, I am Yahovah, your, this says your right here, your Elohim. Oh, and also it says, actually here, if I stretch this out, it actually says, for holy, I am Yahovah, your Elohim. For holy I am, your Elohim. I always like to put a comma there. I am Yahovah, comma, your Elohim. In fact, I probably did do it here. Yeah. Because I, Yahovah, your Elohim, am holy. That's really what it's saying. All right, verse 3. So how do we become holy? This is what all these are going to be about. And some of these are actually even, I would call, minimum requirements. Now remember, we're talking about Israel. But I say minimum requirements, even a ger who's going to join himself to Israel. That's what their minimum requirements are for. One of the minimum requirements is keeping the Sabbath. You shall revere every one of you. Remember, every one of you. Let's see if this is, it says every one. I would think that this is probably going to say, it says every man. It says man, every man. No, it even says, it says, they did say every man, but it just says ish. Ish. His mother, his father, he shall fear. That's what it says. I went with the every one of you, but keep in mind we're talking about, this is ish. This word ish right here, this is man, ish. It says ish. I'm going to put it in here just so I have it for next time. I'm not going to take the time to do it right now. But it's talking about revere. This word is Yahweh. Yahweh. Look what it says. Fear. It does say revere, morally to revere. And I think that is the state that we're talking about right now. Because we're not frightened of our mother and father. We are to respect our mother and father. And that goes very well with Exodus 20. And that must be like maybe the 5th commandment. Weigh heavily. Honor. They use the word here, kavod. Your father's and your mother's instructions. So I could see that with honoring, revering. Revering, I think that fits very well with that. We're going to respect the Sabbath. We're going to respect our mother and father. And he finishes by saying, I am Yahovah, your Elohim. The very same words that we're talking about. You know, he almost repeats these, almost every thought. Here he did it in verse 2. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. Verse 3. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. Verse 4. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. There was one other one I had. This was 19. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about this. He's going to talk about, you know what, I'm going to wait till we get there. I remember this idea about revering. It's not about fearing. There's nothing dangerous about our mother and our father. I mean, we can revere Yehovah, or fear Yehovah, Yahweh Yehovah. The fear of Yehovah is the beginning of wisdom, it says. That's what we're going to fear, because he can take away our life. But right now, I think we're talking about revering our mother and our father and his Sabbaths. And again, these go right along with the Ten Commandments. Here's the next one, another one of the Ten Commandments. Do not turn to idols. Here, I'll read it on the right. Y'all shall not turn towards the worthless things. Look at this, is the word they use here. It's alal. Vanity, vain, nothing, good for nothing. Do not turn to worthless things, nor make yourself molten Elohim. You could also add in there carved Elohim. Carved Elohim are idols of wood and stone and molded images. This one talks about molded images in particular. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. Here's the word empty things that I was just talking about. Eliel. Sounds like gods, doesn't it? Maybe it comes from the same root, Eliel. The empty things, vain things, good for nothing things. Here, you talk about that in this verse. Have you not known? Have you not heard? Has it not been told you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations of the earth? It is he who sits on the circle of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers, who stretches out the heavens like a curtain and spreads them out like a tent to dwell in. He brings the princes to nothing and makes the judges of the earth as vanity. Do we still have Elohim that we serve and bow down to? I think many people do. You know, the first thing that came to my mind was the flag. Salute the flag. Put your hand over your hearts. Michael, aren't you patriotic? I'm more patriotic to Jehovah's kingdom. I want to see America prosper, but I want to see my Father's kingdom prosper. That's the goal of my life. I'm patriotic to his kingdom. How about the golden calf of the modern age? Where would that fit into? Idols? Molten images? The golden calf, that was a molten image, wasn't it? Who am I talking about? The golden calf of the modern age. I'll let you sort that out. Verse 5. And if you, look what they put, offer a sacrifice. Here's what it actually says. If you slaughter a slaughter of shalamim unto Yehovah for your delight, ye shall slaughter it. If you're going to slaughter a slaughter to Yehovah, do it for your delight. Remember, it's food for you. That's what a shalamim is. It's your food. It's the meat that we're going to eat. We talked about this in Leviticus 17, didn't we? Just a few weeks ago. If we live close to the temple, we got to bring it to the temple and slaughter it there. The priest will get the fat and a breast and a leg, and we get to keep the rest. We got to eat it within 2 or 3 days, depending on how we use it. Here, this is an interesting verse. This is from Deuteronomy. We don't have a temple near us right now. says, when Jehovah thy Elohim enlarges thy border, he promised thee, and thou say, let me eat meat, because thou longs to eat meat. You may eat as much meat as your heart desires. For your delight, ye shall slaughter it. I think it fits together nicely. If the place where Jehovah thy Elohim chooses to put his name is too far from thee, or may be non-existent at all, then thou may slaughter from the herd and from the flock, which Jehovah has given thee, just as I have commanded thee. Thou may eat within thy gates as much as your heart desires, thy heart desires. Just as the gazelle and the deer are eaten, so thou shalt eat them. The unclean and the clean alike may eat them. Only be sure that thou dost not eat the blood, for the blood is in the life, is the life. Therefore thou may not eat the life with the meat. Thou shalt not eat it. Thou shalt pour it out on the earth like water. That's what we're commanded to do. And that's another minimum requirement that the ger have got to learn right away. Keeping the Sabbath, not eating blood. Two things. There's more. Maybe we'll see them in here. Minimum requirements, because those are the things that get you kicked out of Israel before you even become Israel. Even the ger gets kicked out, and he's not Israel yet, not until Passover. Verse 6. It says, it shall be eaten the same day as you offer it. Now we're talking about the shalamim that was brought to the temple. Got to eat it the same day and on the next day. If any remains until the third day, it shall be burned with fire. If it is eaten at all on the third day, it is an abomination. It shall not be accepted. So what was meant to be good and pure by bringing our meat to Jehovah turns into something evil, dangerous for us. And I just had another verse from Leviticus 7 that would confirm what it was just saying. It must be eaten on the third day. It must be not at all be eaten on the third day. We don't need to go through that right now. It says it's an abomination. It stinks. Begul, unclean, abominable. Actually, it stinks. Abominable is a way it's been translated in many Bibles, but that's really not the definition of this word. It stinks. It's stinky. It's unclean, ceremonially unclean. Verse 8. I'm going to read it on the right. Therefore, he who eats it shall bear his evil. His evil. Of all. Nope. Bear his evil. Avan. Evil. Isn't that interesting how close that is to being evil? Avan, evil. Just a different vowel. Vowels, I guess. But we're talking about consonants. We're talking about Hebrew words. Because he has profaned the hallowed thing. Here, this is one of the hallowed things. Remember, I told you we were going to talk about this verse or this word several times in this chapter. Remember, it's about separating yourself and becoming holy. Oh, Sim joined us. Hello, Sim. We're so glad you're here. Because he profaned the hallowed thing. The hallowed thing. It became a hallowed thing when we slaughtered it. And we see when we slaughter that shalamim, that only the people who are clean in our house can actually eat it. If someone who's unclean, a woman in her menses, for instance, touches the meat, it becomes unclean, a stinky thing. You got to throw it away. You're not going to die, but you can't eat it. A whole thing of Yehovah, and that person shall be cut off from his people because he ate it on the third day. Don't eat it on the third day. Now, we don't have to worry about that because we're not bringing it to the temple. Now, look at this. Again, this is about holiness. Winnowing the wheat, going through that, separating the chaff from the seeds with the rake. And when you reap a harvest in your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, nor shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. What does he say? You shall not glean your vineyard, nor shall you gather every grape of your vineyard. So this is the same idea, field and now vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor. And who? They put the stranger. Who is the stranger? The stranger is this person here, the ger. And for a ger, you shall leave them for a ger. You know, I've said, makes it sound like you're leaving them for this, maybe the strangers, but I think you're leaving them for your stranger. You have a stranger, the stranger who dwells with you. You're going to leave it for that man so that he has food for his belly. This verse also tells us that Israel's seeds assembly are all the Ezra men and not the ger who dwells with us. So in past chapters, we've seen this, Israel seeds assembly. And I speculated at times that maybe it's the ger and the Ezra. This would be proof that it's not the ger. It's only the Ezra that we're talking about Israel seeds assembly. Because here we are talking about the ger. For the stranger, leave them for the stranger. The poor and the stranger. I am Yehovah, your Elohim. Verse 11. You shall not steal, nor deal falsely, nor lie to one another. The 8th commandment. You shall not steal. You shall not steal, nor lie, nor deceive a man. A man. Can you steal and lie and deceive a woman? They say a man. This is an ish. Nor lie to one another. Yeah, look at this. Nor deceive a man to his companion, his people. I think people's probably a better way to do this. Other Ezra men is who we're talking about. They don't even say man in this verse. Look, it just says one another. A man to his companion. A man to his, look at this, is the word it is right here, is amit. Amit. This says, the bet says two. The vav says his, and the amit is the word we're talking about. But notice this word has in the middle of it. Means people. To his people. Do not steal, nor lie, nor deceive. A man to his people, his companion. This word often gets translated as it is. That's not translated that way here, but we're going to see it's going to be translated that way very shortly. This word often gets translated as neighbor, but this man is more like a brother. Yes, he's a spiritual brother. But a spiritual brother, that is. And again, the root of people is, the word for people is If it says ami, it's my people. But it's talking about people. So we're talking about men. We're talking about Israel. verse 12. And you shall not swear by my name falsely, nor shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yehovah. Third commandment. So now we have the first commandment. No, we haven't had the first commandment yet. We have the second. We have the third. This is the third. The fourth is taking Jehovah's name. No, must be the third is taking Jehovah's name. I forget the commandments. I'd have to go back and review them. It's been a while since I've talked about them. Here's the third commandment. You know, we think, you shall not. How many people say, oh, JC? You know, that's their cursing. And then people say, well, you can't take the name of Jehovah in vain. They say the name of the Lord in vain, don't they? Yeah. They don't know what it means. They don't know. They don't know. We swear by Jehovah's name. And he says, you shall not. No, he says, you shall not swear by my name falsely, nor shall you profane the name of Elohim. I am Yehovah. No, do you know Yehovah even swears by his name? When we say we're going to do something, oh, that's going to be an interesting chapter when we get to that. Difference between a man swearing by Jehovah's name and a woman swearing by Jehovah's name. Did you know there's a difference? There is. I forget what chapter, and we're going to get, I think it's in Numbers. Even Jehovah swears by his own name. But thou shalt not profane the name of Jehovah. I am Jehovah. So that's actually the third commandment. We are to take oaths and perform them in Jehovah's name. This is Deuteronomy 6. You shall fear Jehovah, your Elohim, and serve him, and shall take oaths in his name. You hear that? We are to take oaths in Jehovah's name. Then, if you violate the oath, you violate the third commandment. Shake on it? No, swear by Jehovah's name. You shall, 10:20. You shall fear Jehovah, your Elohim. You shall serve him, and to him you shall hold fast and take oaths in his name. Then King Solomon swore by Jehovah. There it is, King Solomon. By Jehovah I swear. May Elohim do to me and more also, if Adonijah has not spoken this word against his own life. In other words, he's going to kill him. And David took an oath again and said, your father certainly knows that I have found favor in your eyes. And he said, do not let Jonathan know this, lest he be grieved, for truly as Jehovah lives and as your soul lives, there is but a step between me and death. That's how certain he was about saying that. Just a couple more. And it shall be, if they will not learn carefully, I'm sorry, you guys. And it shall be, if they will learn carefully the ways of my people, my people, to swear by my name as Jehovah lives, as they taught my people to swear by Baal, Baal. Oh, put your hand up. I swear by God, or how does it go, you guys? So help me God. So help me God. That's what he always want to say. Baal. We don't know who we're swearing to in court, do we? No, they're priests of Satan, those court justices. Then they shall be established in the midst of my people. But if they do not obey, I will utterly pluck up and destroy that nation, says Jehovah. Yehovah feels pretty strongly about us using his name. Most people don't even know his name. I always like to ask people, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. What's his name? They don't know. They haven't a clue. Here's Yehovah. Even Yehovah swears by his own name. And said, by myself I have sworn, says Yehovah. For because thou hast done this thing, has not withheld thy son, thy only son, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thee. He's talking about Isaac, or Abraham when he was going to kill Isaac. That in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of heaven and as the sands of the sea, which is upon the shore. And the seed shall possess the gates of his enemies, and thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. By thy seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in thy seed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Here's another one where he's swearing by his own name. Two more. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heaven, and all this land shall be spoken of, and all the land that I have spoken of, I give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. This is one of the things that I always talking about. I was talking about the land and the seed, the land and the seed. Remember, the one who's born in the land, that they put born in the land, but the word that they're using there is Azra. It's hidden. But when you talk about the Azra and the seed, the Azra is going to get the land. That's the land and the seed, the Azra that are going to receive. That's Israel. And when Elohim made a promise to Abraham, because he could not swear, he could swear by no one greater. He swore by himself. Yes, bless him. Okay, let's go to 13. I have a note on this, and I don't have it marked. So let's go ahead and mark this. That lets me know that I have notes that are available for it. You shall not cheat your neighbor, nor rob him. The wages of him who is hired shall not remain with you all night until morning. This is the word neighbor. Look at, they're using this word neighbor. The word here is Reah, or maybe Ria. It says thy friend, thy neighbor. The Kaf here says thy. This Ria is the Ger, who dwells with the Ezra. Only two kinds of people in Yehovah's kingdom, the Ger and the Ezra. You're one or the other, or you're not his people. We learned in Exodus 12, again, around verse 42, I'd say, that there's a Ben-Nakar, the son of a foreigner, doesn't know Israel at all. The Toshab is somebody who's got a relationship with Israel, but he's not in Israel. He's not in Ezra or a Ger. He just knows of them. He knows some of their laws. He's heard them, but he doesn't follow them. Then there was also a Ria. I don't talk about the Ria in Exodus 12, but the Ria is also there, the hired laborer. And then finally we had the Ger and the Ezra. This is talking about the Ger. And we're going to see this more clearly as we go through this. So let's keep in mind that when we see this Ria, we're talking about, it says an associate, more or less close. He's not a brother. They get translated as a brother, a companion, a fellow, a friend. all would be okay, I suppose, for this. I chose the word friend. They chose the word neighbor. Neighbor's totally confusing. But there's more to the story that we're going to see here. Re'ah. I think it's so interesting that the Re'ah here, look what it says. This is ancient Hebrew lexicon of the Bible. And they call this man a friend. There it is right there, a friend, a close companion. It comes from this word, feed, shepherd. Feed is the action, shepherd is the noun, and abstractly desire. We don't care about that right now. But it says the shepherd closely watches over his flock. Often they are his only companions. So interesting. Is it possible that the ger who dwells with you, the reason you only have one ger dwelling with you is because you are shepherding this man so that he learns the ways of Yehovah? I think that is entirely possible. Here's Re'ah again. This is probably word study, I think. I forget right offhand. It says a masculine noun meaning another person. Most frequently, this term is used to refer to a second party in a personal interaction without indicating any particular relationship. Here's the hired hand, sikir. This is the hired servant. And, it was, as I said, 1242. It was actually 1245. The first time I remember seeing this word is in Exodus 12. I went and looked it up yesterday. The toshab was the hired servant. It says a toshab and hired servant. Look what the word is. Sakir. Shall not eat it. No, because they're not Israel. They're not circumcised. They're not going to follow Yahweh's commandments. This is where most of the world is at. Maybe you could call them a toshav, but they don't really know Yahweh's ways. I would call most of the world a nakar. A foreign son doesn't know anything about Israel. Why do you wear those funny things on your pants? Or why do you wear that funny thing on your pants? They don't know. Sakir, hiring. One who is hired for service. Yeah, he's got no relationship except he's a hireling. He's a servant. Okay. So you shall not cheat your neighbor. Cheat your, what did we say that was? Re'ah, not treat your re'ah, nor rob him. The wages of him who is hired, that's the hireling, shall not remain with you all night until morning. No, pay him when he's finished with work. He says, you shall not, 14, you shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind. You shall fear, there's that word again. I'm sure that is, let's see what it is. I'm guessing Yahweh. Yahweh, yeah, Yahweh. You shall fear. That could be fear of Yehovah. I mean, look what you're doing. Putting a stumbling block before the blind. I'll go back to it. You shall not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but you shall fear Yehovah. You shall fear your Elohim. I am Yehovah. It's interesting to me. I just realized that when he doesn't say, I am Yehovah, your Elohim, he says, your Elohim, I am Yehovah. So he says it just a little bit differently, but it's still covering the same things. Now, this one, it doesn't. 15. It says, you shall do no injustice in judgment. You know what? I wanted to go back. I remember this word evil, the Avan. I wanted to go back because I think I had a little bit more on my notes. Where was that about the Avon? Oh, you know what? I'm probably not going to find it right offhand. Oh, well, let's just continue where we're going here. It says, you shall not be partial to the poor. And because they're poor, you're going to be nice to them, nor honor the person of the mighty. In righteousness, first he says, do no injustice. In judgment, you shall not be partial to the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. In righteousness, you shall judge your, they put neighbor. Look at what the word is. Your people, your companion. Same word, companion people. Thy people. I say your, but the yellow on this tells me it really says thy, thou. In righteousness, Zadik is doing right. In righteous, I suppose you could say this, according to Jehovah's ways. Yeah, that's what righteous, that's what holy, being holy is. Believing in something does not make you holy. You've got to become holy. This chapter is about becoming holy, living holy, living separate from the nations. 19:16. You shall not go about as a talebearer among thy people, nor shalt thou take a stand against the life of thy neighbor. This is thy people. He's talking about thy people. Look here. A talebearer amongst thy people, nor shall you take a stand against the life of thy neighbor. Look at the word that they're using. We have neighbor is Reah, or Reah, and my people is the Amit. No, that actually says among thy people. This is thy people, among thy people. Again, there's the is the root to that. Or take the blood of thy friend. Friend again is a close companion. Ria. I think this is the Ger who dwells with us. He's a close companion. He's not a brother. He's not a people, but he's a close companion. Why? Because he follows Jehovah, or he's learning to follow Jehovah. Verse 17. You shall not hate your brother. Here it is. Thou shalt not hate thy brother. Thy brother, thy Aki. Thy Aki. In thy heart. Thou shalt surely rebuke thy companion. Amit. I think he's saying the same thing twice. You hate your brother. Remember, we said Amit was another word for the Ezra, thy people. Amit. So thy brother is thy people. So you would hate your brother by not rebuking him when he does wrong. Read it again now. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt surely, so he's telling you what not to do. Now he's telling you what you should do. Thou shalt surely rebuke thy companion and not bear sin because of him. If you don't rebuke your brother when he's wrong and he goes the wrong way and dies, it's on you. You should have said something. Look what it says. I guess it's down below here, but here's another right. Do not hate your brother in your heart, nor rebuke your neighbor. See, they make it sound like it's two different people when they say neighbor, don't they? I don't like this translation. I'm getting rid of it. Okay. Here. This is kind of what I was talking about. Again, when a righteous man turns from his righteousness and commits iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. because you did not give him warning. He shall surely die in his sin, and his righteousness which he has done shall not be remembered. But his blood I will require at your hand. This is this is from Ezra 3:20 and 21. Here's the rest of it. Nevertheless, if you warn the righteous man, he's a righteous man, he's your brother, that the righteous should not sin, and he does not sin, he shall surely live because he took warning. Also, you have delivered your soul. That's how serious it is when a man is going astray and we don't straighten him out. We're talking not just about any man. We're talking about a brother. A brother. I don't even think they're talking necessarily about the ger, but I would want to help the ger as well. Verse 18. You shall not take vengeance, nor bear a grudge against your people's seed. This is what it says. Thy arm's seed, thy people's seed. Thou shalt not take vengeance, nor bear a grudge against thy people's seed, and thou shalt love actually, no, I have that. Thy friend, this is Ria, thy friend. There it is. Thou shalt love thy friend, thy Ria. What did we say Ria was? As ger, as thyself. I am Jehovah. I tried to put this color coded. You know, we read this verse. We read it in the New Testament. The greatest commandment: love your neighbor as yourself. We have no idea what that means. I wrote a whole article on it here. Let me pull it up here. This is on my site under Loving Torah 101. Love your neighbor. This is it right here. This is the art I'm going to use today, but this talks about who our neighbor is. It's not the guy who lives next door, guys. Unless you happen to live in Israel, then he may maybe live next door. Live among other Ezra men, and they have a ger who dwells with them, because this is who we're talking about. I tried to color code it. Thou. It's talking to the thou. Who's the thou? We just saw up here Israel's Seeds Assembly, right? That's who it was. That's who the thou is. Speak to all Israel Seeds Assembly. Thou, Israel Seeds Assembly, shall not take vengeance, nor bear a grudge against thy people's seed. And thou shalt love thy friend, thy Reah, the ger, as thyself. I put the Ezra men just so you know who we're talking to. The Ezra men is thyself. There's only Ezra and the ger in Jehovah's kingdom. Now, to show you how important this is, in this very same chapter, look, 1934, we're coming to it very start. It says, the stranger who dwells among you, the Ezra men, Israel's Seeds Assembly, shall be to you as one born in the land. Born in the land. Look at that, you guys. Born in the land. What word did they use for born in the land? Look. Oh, I'm not there. Let me go there. Control. Oops. There we go. Yeah, let's go there. We'll come back here in just a second. Here it is. Born in the land. Unto you as one born in the land. What's the word that they use there? Here it is. No, that's not it. Unto you. Oh, here. Yeah, there it is. Ezra. 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 Look at what they put. Springing up. Native. A native. It just says native. It says tree or person. It makes it sound like you get there by birth, doesn't it? And in a sense you do, because at Passover, you're a ger, and when you circumcise yourself, partake of the Passover, you become a ger. An Ezra. You become an Ezra. That's what it says. 1246 of Exodus. You become the Ezra. They convolute this whole thing by saying, as one born among you. Born among you. What does that even mean? But they cover up this very, very important word, Ezra, who is actually Jehovah's son, Israel. There's no plural ending for Ezra. So it's Jehovah's son, Ezra. Can be one or many. If Jesus really was a person at one point, a man at one point, he would be a son of Israel if he was circumcised, kept Jehovah's statutes and judgments and ordinances. Personally, I don't think he ever existed. But that's my own personal opinion. You got to do some research yourself. Who gave us the New Testament? You got to ask yourself that. It was the Catholic Church who gave us the New Testament. Do you realize that? They codified the New Testament and added them to the Hebrew scriptures in the 4th century. It was the Hebrews that added the New Testament. It was the Catholic Church that added the New Testament. And wait until you see very, very in the very near future what is going on in the Catholic Church and who the Catholic Church actually is. I call the Catholic Church the synagogue of Satan. Oh, you'll see. You'll see. It's coming. I could show you some pictures right now that would blow your mind, but I'm not going to do that right now. So here is what we're talking about, the Ezra. There it is, the Ezra. And you shall love him. Who's him? The stranger. The stranger who dwells among you shall be to you as one born in the land, as an Ezra. Be to you as an Ezra. That's what it says. And y'all, shall love him, the ger, as yourself. For you were gerim in the land of Egypt. I am Jehovah, your Elohim. We were gerim in the land of Egypt, following or trying to follow Jehovah until the Passover, when we actually became Jehovah's son, and then we got to leave. It all fits together. You just have to open your eyes. I put as one born in the land. There it is, Ezra. From you, what does this say? From you shall be a ger, as one born in the land. Is this even from you? I guess I'm taking it just literally. This says from you, from y'all. Shall be the ger. As one born in the land from you. Oh, okay. As one born in the land from you shall be the ger, who dwells with thee. This is a literal translation of what this is saying in the Hebrew. And thou shalt love him as thyself, for strangers ye were in the land, in Egypt's land. I am Jehovah, thy Elohim. The ger is not the same as the Ezra. but we love him in the same way that we love ourselves. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Let's go back up to the verse that we were on just a second ago, 18. And we'll go back to the English. Refresh our screen. So here we are. But you, and it doesn't say but, it says, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Here's something to think about. The man who lives next door is truly not our neighbor. For our neighbors are those who do the will of our Father in heaven, the Ger. Are we to love the folks next door? I put, of course, but not in the same way. The scripture gives us some very definite instructions on how to care for the fatherless, the widow, and the stranger, the Ger, who dwells with us. I put, did Israel send relief to the flood victims in Egypt? Did they care for the widow, for the orphans and the widows in Assyria? I put orphans in Assyria, widows in Babylon. No, not at all. We take care of our widows, our orphans, and our Ger. You see how that works? This is part of the reason why we have generational families. So that if we happen to have a widow, she just becomes part of the family. We're going to take care of her and her children. Remember, an orphan is somebody who doesn't have a father, not somebody who lost their mother and their father. No, you lose your father, you're an orphan. There's a lot of adult orphans in the world. They don't even know they're orphans because their dads have passed away. 19. You shall keep my statutes. You shall keep my statutes. Thou, y'all, it says, y'all shall keep my statutes. Then it says, thou, each of you, thou shalt not let thy livestock breed with another kind. You shall not sow thy field with mixed seed. We're not going to mix our seed together and grow crops together. You know, there's places that I've seen that you get better corn or supposedly better corn, and you have beans that you plant with your corn. No, he says, don't mix your seeds, nor shall a garment of mixed linen and wool come upon you. So can you have a cotton shirt and a wool jacket? I don't see that as a problem. We're talking about mixing fabrics. Mixed fabrics, a garment of mixed linen and wool come upon you. Whosoever lies carnally, what do my notes say about this? Two chapters ago. No, last week we talked about this. Nor shall you mate with an animal to devour yourself with it. Nor shall any woman stand before an animal to mate with it. It is a perversion. You're talking about mixed kind. Animals mixing with mixed kind. Father hates GMO foods. It's an organism that does not produce after its own kind. Israel too is not to mix with the Gentiles. This is why an Israel woman, we're going to give our daughters to another son of Israel, and our sons are going to take daughters of Israel. If you're going to remarry, find someone who's going to follow Yahovah's ways. So like I say, Israel too is not to mix with the Gentiles. Everything in Torah is to help us live holy and separate from those who will not live in holiness. Next week, and you shall be holy to me, for I, Yahovah, am holy, and have separated you from the peoples, from the nations, that you should be mine. I've got several things here about being separate from the nations. We don't need to go through that. We're kind of running out of time. And we're only up to 20. We got 38 verses, 33 verses maybe. Forget. The difference, whosoever lies carnally with a woman, who is betrothed to a man as a concubine. This is really difficult to understand. I rewrote it here. Let me read it on the right here. The difference between a man's woman and a man's concubine is the status of the woman before she was taken by the man. So if you have a servant and you're going to take her, she's not going to be a wife. She's going to be a concubine. If she's a free woman, she's going to be your woman. They say wife. Oh, what's a wife? A wife is a woman that you took. She's your woman. There is no word for wife in Torah. If a man, this is a better way to say it, more how it's written. If a man lies carnally with a woman, a female slave is the shifka, kind of a handmaid, if you will. No, that'd be more of an this is a female worker, an outside female worker, betrothed to a man, and who has not at all been redeemed. So she hasn't been redeemed. Somebody's lying carnally with this woman. It says, for this she shall be punished. She's going to be punished. I don't know that she even had a whole lot of choice in the matter. She's a slave. But they shall be put, but they shall not put, put her to death. But for this she shall be punished, but they shall not put, I'm going to leave it there, put her to death, because she was not free. I don't think her is actually there. She not be put to death. I guess I should just leave it. That's what it says, right? She shall not be put to death because she was not free. If she were free, she would be put to death. Talking about concubines. Did they use the word concubine in this even? Yeah, they did. There it is right there. But the word that they used for concubine is this slave. It's not concubine. The concubine is a pilagesh. This is a female slave, but they translate it as a concubine. Frustrating. Hagar, Keturah, Bilhah, Zilpah. Remember, Hagar and Keturah were Abraham's concubines. Bilhah and Zilpah was Jacob's concubines, who were handmaids of Leah and Rachel. They were all concubines because they came from the servants' quarters. The beautiful woman, here's the beautiful woman, is a concubine also. Here, do I have it? Maybe I can get it all. Let's see if I can get it here. Yeah, I got it. It says, when you go to war against your enemies, and Jehovah your Elohim delivers them into your hand, and you take them captive, and you see among the captives, a beautiful woman, and desire her, and would take her as your woman. Doesn't say wife. Then you shall bring her home to your house, and she shall shave her head and trim her nails. Why is she shaving her head? Because she's no longer covered. She needs a covering. A woman with a covering is going to have her hair long. She doesn't have a covering. She shall put off her clothes. It says trim her nails. Shave her head, trim her nails, so you don't hurt anybody. She shall put off her clothes of her captivity and remain in your house and mourn her father and mother a full month. After that, you may go to her and be her man. It doesn't say man. It might say Baal, be her husband. And she shall be your woman. And it shall be, if you have no delight in her, that you shall set her free. But you shall certainly not sell her for money. You shall not treat her brutally, because you have humbled her. This is Torah. That was Deuteronomy. Anyway, I was going to say you could contrast this woman not being put to death, only being punished, with the woman who lies with a man in the city or out of the city and doesn't cry out, she and he are going to be put to death. Now, in this verse, what happened to the man? It doesn't tell us. That's in the next verse. It says, and he shall bring his asham to Yehovah, to the door of the tent of meetings, a ram as a trespass offering. Trespass is a guilt. It's a guilt offering, an asham. And this goes along with the 10th commandment in a sense, taking another man's, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Well, what did he covet? He coveted the neighbor's woman, his female servant. Look what, here's the 10th commandment. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's woman. Appendage. I put appendage. She's bone of his bone, flesh of his flesh. She's an appendage. Nor his male servants, nor his female servants. They used the ma here, but the shivka is a female servant as well. Nor his ox, his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. I always kind of smile when it says house first, and then it says the neighbor's woman. One, the 10th commandment is not talking to any women because it doesn't say you shall not take your neighbor's man. No, it's talking to Israel's seed. 22. The priest shall cover, they had make atonement for. No, it just says the priest shall cover him with the asham ram before Yehovah. The asham ram. They put the ram of the asham. No, the asham ram is what it says. On account of his breach, which he has sinned. Remember, he breached. He missed the mark. When he was following Yehovah, he missed the mark by taking his neighbor's shivka. Was she, did it say she was let's find out. But yeah, she was betrothed. She was betrothed. Could you take your neighbor's shivka if you weren't approached? Well, I don't know. That's another story, isn't it? Let's start again. And the priest shall cover him with the asham ram before Yehovah. Before Yehovah. That's what that says. Before Yehovah. On account of his breach, which he has sinned. So he shall have forgiveness from his breach, which he has sinned. I put, if a child comes from this punishable offense, who gets the child? Does the father get the child? Does the mother get the child? No, I think the master of the woman is going to get the child. The child would have to belong to her master. If the woman is a free woman, they would both be killed. They wouldn't have a chance to have a child, would they? All right. Verse 23. We're getting closer. When you come into the land and have planted all kinds of trees for food, then you shall count their fruit as uncircumcised. 3 years it shall be as uncircumcised to you. We're not going to eat it for 3 years. It shall not be eaten. But in the 4th year, all its fruit shall be kodesh. Hear that? All its fruit shall be kadosh. Kodesh. Kodesh. A praise to Yehovah. Praise. You know, I was looking yesterday I was working. I sell cattle corn on Fridays and Sundays at flea markets. And somebody next to me, I heard him say, hallelujah, hallelujah. She says, hallelujah. Like 4 times I heard her say that. And I wanted to say, do you actually know what hallelujah means? I know she's a DEI lady. She's really upset with Trump for getting rid of all the DEI stuff. But yeah, she was saying hallelujah. I heard her plain as day several times, at least 4 times. And I thought, I want to look that up and see if I could find where I can actually see the word hallelujah. I understand it means praise Yah or praise to Yah. This is the word that they used here. It's helu, praise. Yah is the short version of Yahovah. It's the abbreviated version. You'll find it in the scriptures in Isaiah. I know for sure it talks about Yah, meaning Yahovah, short for Yahovah. Really, if you can find where I can actually see the word hallelujah, I'd really like to see it. I look for it, I can't find it, but I know that it comes from this word. This is a root probably of that word or a variation of that word. I'd like to actually see the word and see where it's hallelujah is actually used, but I did a search for hallelujah and I couldn't find it. But, with Hebrew spellings, it's hard to get the exact spelling because the nouns are always, the vowels are always changing. Anyway, talking about holy to Yahovah. It's a holy thing. It's a Kodesh thing. The fruit of the fourth year is a Kodesh thing. Talking about fear. How did it go? Fearing the holy things. Maybe we're going to get to it yet. I think maybe we're just going to get to that. But I wanted to point this out. This is Numbers 18. It says, all the best of the oil, all the best of the new wine and the grain, the first fruits which they offer to Yahovah. Remember, we have bring the first fruits of our barley, the first fruits of our wheat. The barley we bring on Passover, the wheat we bring on Shavuot. I have given them to thee, or to you. Whatever first ripe fruit is in their land. Whatever first ripe fruit there is in their land, which they give to Yahovah, shall be yours. It's talking to the priests. These are holy, set apart, kadosh things that are going to go to the priests. And again, being holy as Yahovah, becoming holy is learning to do all these things. Yahovah repeats himself a lot in this chapter, doesn't he? We've seen first commandment, second commandment, third commandment, the one about wives. We're seeing the one about the 10th commandment, the woman. He's repeating himself. Yahovah repeats himself when he wants to make a point. Don't forget this. Become holy as I am holy. Most people don't even know that Saturday is the Sabbath. They've been so trained by the Catholic Church that Sunday's the Sabbath. Oh, I can remember being very judgmental over somebody that was working on Sunday. You dope. I'm talking to myself. I was a dope. I didn't even know what the Sabbath was. And we were going out to lunch on the Sabbath. Shame on me. But in the fifth year, you may eat its fruit. So we don't get to eat the fruit that we planted, this fruit tree that we planted for 5 years. This is the fifth year that we actually get to eat the fruit, that it may yield to you its increase. I am Yahovah, your Elohim. Thy Elohim, no, your Elohim. Elohim. 26. You shall not eat anything with blood. Look, there's blood. We already talked about blood being one of the 5 or 6 things that a ger should not eat. You shall not eat anything with the blood, nor shall you practice divination or soothsaying. Isn't it interesting that they have drinking blood and practicing divination and soothsaying going together? What does that sound like? Does that sound like something that might be happening in our land right now? I wonder. Magic. Here's the word they use for magic. Aunan. Then they have this word. It's nakash. Nakash is a verb meaning to practice divination, to observe omens. This is a verb describing a pagan practice of seeking knowledge through divination. But isn't it interesting that this number on this word right here isn't this word? Because the number for this word, nakash, is the same number. This, what is that? Tav, An, Vav, Nun, Vav. I can't even find it being used anywhere else in the scriptures. But yet they give it this number. Strong's does. Strong's is not your friend. If you're going to always go with the Strong's numbers, you got to take it with a grain of salt. New, for instance, and renew are the same word, but he gives them two different strong numbers. Shame on him. So I looked up this word prognosticate, to predict according to present indications or signs to foretell. I think this is the kind of thing that the deep state's doing, the Kabbalah is doing. Could that be? Drinking blood, does that have anything to do with that? I think it might. 27. Oh, this is one that took me by surprise. I had to figure this one out. It took me a while. It says, you shall not shave around the sides of your head, nor shall you disfigure the edges of your beard. Oh, I'm supposed to have a beard? What about men that can't have a beard? Then I thought about the curls that the rabbis for there's another word for those men. We're spacing on it right now. But I thought, oh, am I supposed to do that? But then you got to read the rest of the verse. They just say you. They start it with you. That's not how it starts. It starts with and. Big difference. Let me read 27 and 28 together, and you read it on the left, and you can see what the difference is. I put, you shall not shave around the sides of your head, nor shall you disfigure the edges of your beard. And for the dead in your flesh, you shall not make any cuttings, nor make any brands on you. I am Yehovah. So you hear what they're saying? The first verse is talking about the hair on your head, your hair, your beard. And the second one is talking about the rest of your body, cuttings and brands. They make it tattoos. So people think, oh no, I got a tattoo. What am I going to do? I don't think we're talking about tattoos. Though I wouldn't get a tattoo for your dead mother, your dead father, your sweethearts. No, I don't think that's a good idea. Because this is talking about for the dead. Can you have a butterfly on your back? Yeah, I suppose you can. I wouldn't, but you could. I think you could. You have to look at this yourself. When I look at this word for what they translate as here, maybe I can put down a little bit. For what they translate as tattoos. No, that's not it. Shoot, do I not have the word on it? No, I don't have the number. Let me grab the number, I guess, real quick. Or make, that's make, cuttings. Why did I leave that off? That was silly of me. Let's do this. Here it is. think that's the word, shakat. Let me grab that for right now. Oh, I already had it there. Guess all I need is the number, don't I? Sorry about this, guys. We'll just drag it up here. There we go. All right. So if I go to this word, and I don't know if I put the thing here. I don't think I did. Oh, maybe that's because I'm on 27 and I got to go to 28. Let me go to 28. Yeah, there it is. Oh, I still don't have the habit. All right. So I picked up that verse. Let's go to here. Shakat. Where did I pick up that it had to do with burns or branding? A verb meaning to spoil, to ruin, to destroy, to pervert, to corrupt, to become corrupt, to wipe out. The verb is used to denote the actions of the world and ultimately a reason for God's flooding it. That doesn't really help us. Let's go to Ancient Hebrew Lexicon of the Bible. That is 7843. Some of these just have to do on that fly. Here's 7843, corrupt. All right, well, it says corrupt. I got the idea that it had to do with branding. Maybe it was in Strong's that I read that. Okay, no, that would still be along. I may have the wrong word. You know what? I'm going to move on, guys. We're getting too long. We'll figure this out for next time. Cuttings in your flesh. It's all about the dead. It's all about the dead. It doesn't say you. It says, and thou shalt not make cuttings in your flesh for the dead. Or they put tattoos or marks on your body. That really bothers me. I wish I knew what that was. Oh, that's incisions, gashes. Oh, maybe that was the one that is cuttings. Or shall you make cuttings? Incisions. Oh, see, I picked up the same word. Oh, no, I don't have it on this one. Michael. Here. Decay. Let's look on here. Decay. Word study. Spoil, pervert. That'd be kind of the same deal, wouldn't it? Corrupt. Again, kind of a decay. I'm sorry, folks. I don't know where I got the idea that it had to do with branding. Let's mark this for myself for next time. Make sure I got the right word, though. Yeah. I'll figure it out next time. Yeah, this goes along. Remember, we're talking about shaving your head, making cuttings in your body. You know, line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a people. Look what it says here. And Jehovah said to Moses, speak to the priests and see and say to them, and none of you shall defile himself for the dead among his people, except for his relatives who are nearest to him, his mother, his father, his son, his daughter, and his brother. Also his virgin daughter who is near to him, who has no husband, for her you may defile yourself. Otherwise, He shall not defile himself, being a chief among his people, to profane himself. They shall not make any bald places on their head, nor shall they shave the edges of their beard, nor make cuttings in their flesh. You see how this is all for the dead? And you see how it makes the two verses that we just read come together? That's what I wanted you to see. Sons ye are to Yahovah, your Elohim. You shall not cut yourselves, nor shave the front of your head for the dead. Yeah, they both fit together. We're talking about these things being for the dead. So don't worry about being clean-shaven if you want to be clean-shaven. 29, I mean. We're getting there. 37, we're on 29. I'm sorry this is taking so long. This is what happens when you have a hodgepodge of stuff. Do not prostitute your daughter, nor cause her to be a harlot, lest the land fall into harlotry and the land become full of wickedness. You shall keep my Sabbath and reverence my sanctuary. This is the word I was looking for as we were talking about being holy and Kodesh, things of Yahovah. You shall keep my Sabbath. That is a Kodesh thing of Yahovah. And it says, and reverence my sanctuary. Nope, I don't think this is what we're talking about. Are we talking about reverence and sanctuary? No, I think we're talking, it doesn't even say sanctuary. Let me show you what it says. Remember, sanctuary would be sorry, folks, I'm spacing on you today. Let me just make this a color. Look at my notes now. You shall keep my Sabbaths and revere my sacred things. This is what I think we're talking about. Mikdash, consecrated thing or a consecrated place. I think when we're talking about Yahovah's Sabbaths and we're talking about a Mikdash, we're not talking about the I'm trying to think of the word for tabernacle. If anybody's got an idea, throw it out for me. I think we're talking about revering the holy things, the sacred things, the firstborn, what we were just talking about with the fruit of the fourth year. Those are holy things that are to be revered and respected that belong to Yahovah. I think that's what we're talking about. This holy things, kadosh things.
Michael, Mishkan.
Mishkan, yeah, Mishkan. That's the word I'm looking for. Look at this has got the word kodesh in it, for heaven's sakes. My holy things. They're trying to make it the tabernacle, the sanctuary. I don't think that's right. I think we're talking about the holy things. My holy things. My sacred things. I am Yahovah. Everyone shall revere, and this is, again, they're using Yareh, just like they did in this verse about the Sabbaths and your mother and father. I think we're talking about revering. Here's Yareh, fear, dread, terrible. I mean, they have all these things. Of course, this is how King James is translating them: fear, afraid, dread, reverence, fearful. And reverence is fine. I think we're talking about revering these things and treating them holy. And again, here's what the priests are going to get: the first right fruit from the land is going to be Yahovah's. 31. Give no regard to mediums and familiar spirits. Do not seek after them to be defiled by them. I am Yahovah, your Elohim. Ani Yahovah Elohim is the word, is what that says. This is talking about mumblers, praters, necromancers. That's the mediums. And the other one is conjurers, which has the word know in it. That's this word here. Dalit and an, which means knowledge. They have special knowledge that they're dispensing. A wizard, the word for wizard has also got that same root in it. That's all I want to say about that. Look what it says here. You shall rise before the gray-headed and honor the presence of an old man and fear your Elohim. I am Yehovah. I put, what is wrong with this picture? We are taught to raise when a woman enters the room, not an elderly man. I think we have learned doctrines and traditions of men, and we're disrespecting our elders, our elder males, in giving them preference to a woman, any woman. This particular word that we're talking about is zakan. Zakan, let's see what it says here. Zakain, beard, elder, one who is old. They all say about the same thing. A person referred to as what was usually an old man. Not talking about an elderly woman. Elder, age, beard. No, I'm not talking about a lady. If a stranger dwells with you in your land, the ger dwells with you in your land. Not that everyone has a ger. I'm telling you, maybe there's not enough gers to go around some years. Once the ger becomes an Ezra, I suppose he gets his own land. Got to make room for him. If a stranger dwells with thee in your land, in thy land, they have thee and thy. They have it in there. There are two kinds of men in Yahweh's kingdom, Ezra and the ger. If this is about the ger, then the thou has to be the Ezra. That's exactly right. That's why I have it in green, not because it's plural you, because it is the Ezra you. If a stranger dwells with you, the Ezra, in your land, you shall not mistreat him, the stranger, the ger. Now, here's the verse we looked at just a moment ago. We're not going to go over it again. We spent enough time on it today. The stranger who dwells among you shall be to you as one born among you, as an Ezra. He's not an Ezra, but you're going to treat him as an Ezra, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were Garim in the land of Egypt. Garim, there is a plural form of Ger, it's Garim. There is no plural form of Ezra. Very interesting. Ezra is Jehovah's son. 35. You shall do no injustice in judgments. I think that's probably evil. You shall do no wickedness in judgments. In measures of length, weight, or quantity. Quantity. What do I have quantity? That's kind of weird. Measures of length. Length, weight, and volume. I guess that could be quantity. There's going to be another thing that we're going to see here. Maybe not. Length, weight, volume. Oh yeah, here it is right here. The very next verse. Maybe kind of making us more aware about what we're talking about. He says Zadik weights, Zadik volume, and Zadik liquid volumes. That is the I don't have it there. Ephah would talk about volume, baskets, oftentimes. And hin, we're talking about liquids. So weights, volumes, and liquids. Dry volumes and dry liquids, or in liquid volumes. names. Yeah, okay. I am Yahovah, your Elohim. So that's what we've been seeing all along. Ani Yahovah Elohim. But look how it finishes. Who brought you out of the land of Egypt. Probably thee is what it says. Brought thee out of the land of Egypt. This is exactly how the first commandment is written. And I think it's interesting because remember, we've been talking about how he's relating these to all the commandments as we've been going through here. And now we have the first commandment. I am Yahovah, who brought you out of the land of Egypt. You shall have no other Elohim existing before my face. I am Yahovah, your Elohim. Yeah, it's practically the first commandment. Last verse. Therefore you shall observe all my statutes and all my judgments and perform them. I am Yahovah. All right, folks, we made it through this chapter. I'm sorry it took as long as it did. I really thought I'd be done a little bit faster. Next week, we're going to talk about the unholy are separated. We're going to talk about, it's a lot like what we're talking about today. So we'll see what happens. You guys, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye now.